So this is Skill Builder. We're going to just start, we separated it out into 3 different skills that you're going to need for Chapter 7 that we're going to start on Monday, especially for the second week of Chapter 7. But we're going to go ahead and practice these previous skills first. So what I'm going to give you are the notes. You will want to probably keep a piece of paper, write down these problems, and write down how to do them. So when you get to the assignment on Canvas, it should be pretty easy. So we're just going to start with number 1 here. So this is adding and subtracting fractions. That's 1 through 4. Multiplying and dividing is 5 through 8. So always pay attention to what it's asking you to do. So number 1 is wanting us to add. When you're adding and subtracting, it's not writing, sorry. So adding and subtracting, you want common denominators. Okay, you have to have common denominators. Oh, if I can write. Sorry, that's so sloppy. And so in number 1, they both have a denominator of 5. So they have common denominator. So I'm going to add the tops and leave the bottom the same, and I get 3/5. Now you want them as simplified as you can. In number 2, the denominators are the same, so that's 7. So I have 5 minus 2 on top is 3/7, and that doesn't simplify. Those are both prime numbers. Now number 3, they do not, they are not the same, so they are not common denominators. I have to find the least common denominator. Here, we'll add that least to it. Makes things a little easier. What's the smallest number I can divide by 3 and 5? Well, in this case, it's going to be 15. So if I have 2/3, to make this bottom number of 15, I need to multiply it by 5. If I do it on the bottom, I have to do it on the top. And then this 5, to make it a 15, I have to multiply it by 3. So I have to multiply both top and bottom by 3. And then I can simplify that. And when multiplying, you just multiply the tops. You multiply the bottom. So that gives me 10/15 plus 12/15. Now they have common denominators. And I'm going to add 10 plus 12. And I get 22. Now, the only things that go in that denominator are 3 and 5. And neither one of those goes into the number 22. So that is, as simplified as it's going to get. And then to do number 4, remember 8 is the same thing as saying 8/1. Well, since its denominator is 1, I'm going to want it to be 6. So I need to multiply both top and bottom by 6. And that 5, 6 stays the same. I'm going to do this multiplication of this first. So I have 8 times 4 is 48. 1 times 6 is 6. Minus 5, 6. 48 minus 5 will give me a 43. And it is over 6. And this does not simplify anymore. I do want it like 3 and 4 where they are improper fractions. That's how we want the answer. Do not make it a mixed number where you have a whole number out front and then the smallest fraction. Leave it like this. That's how the answers in Canvas will match up. And then multiplying, we're just going to multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. So I get 3/10. That does not simplify. 3 times 6 over 4 times 1, because remember the whole number 6 is the same thing as 6/1. So I get 18/4. Now that does simplify. The largest number that goes into that would be, I can divide both of those by 2. If I divide 18 by 2, I get 9. Divide 4 by 2, I get 2. Now, those were multiplication, 5 and 6. 7 and 8 are division. Dividing by a fraction is very complicated looking, but what if you were to write it? Because it's the same thing as saying this. Well, that just looks incredibly complicated. So instead of writing it like that and solving, we take the first fraction and we're going to end up multiplying, and then we flip or take the reciprocal of the second fraction. And then I know I multiply the tops and I multiply the bottoms, and that does not simplify. Okay, number 8's the same way. I have 5 over 1. I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to take the reciprocal or flip, however you want to think of that second fraction. So I get 15 over 10. Now, that simplifies. 5 goes into both of those. So if I take 15 divided by 5, I get 3. 10 divided by 5, I get 2. That would be the answer that would be looking for. So this is what we're doing on Skill Builder number 1. On all the practices, you can do them over and over until you get 100%. So if you miss 1 or 2, that's fine. Go back and try the practice again. So good luck. And I hope this online platform is going to work for everybody.